welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at the most irritating enemies that Link has ever come across. However, we're prioritizing regular enemies over bosses. To be clear, we're not saying these are the hardest or strongest enemies, but they're annoying enough to make us wish we could reach through the screen and give them a slap.
Listen.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Mini Blends. Mini Blends are a perfect example of enemies that are easily swatted away, but we're still glad they only appeared in a few games. Found in Wind Waker and its handheld sequels, these miniature bokoblins always travel in packs, seeking to skewer Link with their pitchforks. What makes them annoying in Wind Waker is that they continuously spawn within their given areas, no matter how many of them you kill. And in all appearances, they sound like a bunch of demons that inhaled way too much helium. You won't have any problem putting them down, but you also won't have much fun. Octoroks. Any enemy that shoots you from afar and hides when you get close is definitely going to be irksome. Octoroks have been in the series since the beginning, where all they could do was hurl up rocks. Nintendo has made them more annoying over the years, like giving them the ability to duck underwater when Link approaches them. However, by far the most irritating iteration of these octopus knockoffs is the latest one. In Breath of the Wild, their stealth is actually pretty great, hiding underneath rocks, shrubs, and treasure chests attached to their heads. They also frequently appear alongside other enemies, sniping Link with incredible accuracy while he's got his hands full. Dyra. Even though it's only found in one game, the Dyra deserve a bit of hate. These alligator-headed brutes only show up in Zelda 2, widely regarded as the hardest entry in the series. The orange variety constantly swings an axe that goes through Link's shield unless he uses magic to cast the Reflect spell. The red version uses an endless stream of axe projectiles, trying to beat you into submission before you can even get close. These probably wouldn't be so bad if not for Zelda 2's high difficulty. But because they take magic to defend against, even with a shield, and they have annoyingly strong attacks, we're grateful they've stayed in the past. Bubbles. The annoyance of some enemies depends on the Zelda you're playing. If you come across these flaming flying skulls in a 3D entry, they won't be too bad. You should have plenty of space to avoid them, and they're easily stopped with a projectile. However, they're much more troublesome in 2D entries. In most of those appearances, they curse Link so he can't use his sword for a few seconds. Those in Zelda 2 siphon Link's magic on contact, while those in the Oracle games deal damage, curse you, and can't be killed. In the first game's second quest, the curse of the red bubbles doesn't have a time limit, and can instead only be gotten rid of by touching a blue one, healing, or picking up a Triforce shard. Likeies. The Likeies have stayed more consistent than Bubbles, but that just makes for a more regularly annoying foe. Ever since the first game, Likeies have been trying to suck Link up, stealing shields, tunics, and more recently, his hard-earned rupees. And every time we mash our buttons like crazy to break free. If something is stolen and you don't kill the Like quickly enough, those items can be lost, forcing you to head to a shop and buy a new one. While it is unlikely that will happen, given that Likes aren't too hard to kill, it's still a nuisance to deal with. Tears of the Kingdom gave them elemental properties, yet we were in far less danger of getting eaten. Dead Rocks. These speedy little annoyances only appear in a handful of 2D installments, and only in very specific locations. That doesn't change the fact that they irritate us in every single game they're in. First appearing in A Link to the Past, dead rocks move incredibly fast and can easily ram into Link. Hitting them with your sword will only turn them to stone for a few moments. The only way to kill them is to use magic powder to turn them into a slime. They're easier to handle in later entries since you get other methods of killing them, but all in all, it's best to just avoid them. Whiz Robes. Another enemy that's been with the series since the beginning is the Whiz Robe. These magic wielders love hurling spells towards Link, vanishing, and reappearing elsewhere to cast another. In the 3D games, they aren't too terrible, despite appearing as mini-bosses in Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. However, once again, their true ability to bother is highlighted in the 2D releases. The frequency in which they teleport is supremely fast most of the time, which undeniably keeps you on your toes. The original game probably sees them at their peak annoyance, if only for the fact that they usually appear in groups. Certain rooms in the final dungeon are a nightmare because of them. Techno Blends. Skyward Sword took the Bokoblins, one of the most basic enemies in Zelda, and gave them a defensive boost due to the motion-centric mechanics. The enemy's AI is actually quite good at blocking Link's blows, which forced players to think before they swung. Unfortunately, it also resulted in the most infuriating variant of the monster, the Techno Blind. Found throughout the Lanayru Desert, these guys wield electric batons. And because the game focuses so heavily on this type of swordplay, swinging at the wrong time will get you blocked and shocked, damaging and stunning Link for further attacks. This only needed to happen a few times before we were ready to rage. Fakas. Just like the Dyra, the Fakas are only found in Zelda 2, but they are honestly far more maddening to contend with. Similar to that game's Iron Knuckles, Fakas can block both high and low attacks. But they can also fire beams from their swords and jump, meaning that Link's downward thrust attack isn't nearly as viable. As if all that wasn't bad enough, which, trust us, it is, they also have high damage output and a ton of health since they only appear in the final dungeon. Fakas are adept at overwhelming you with a barrage of attacks. It's enemies like these that have given Zelda 2 its long-lasting fame as a brutal game. Wall Masters and Floor Masters. Ask any player. One of the most disheartening things in gaming is losing your progress. So, when an enemy can teleport you back to the start of an area, or even a full dungeon, it's understandably going to garner a lot of hate. Whether they're called Wall Masters or Floor Masters, these giant hands lurk in the shadows and will snatch Link up at the first opportunity. In most cases, despite their creepiness, they aren't even that hard to kill. But all it takes is one time. One instance where they gain the upper hand and you have to replay a section. After that, it's enough to make you approach these things with extreme prejudice and ferocity. Which Zelda enemy annoys you to no end? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more great Zelda videos.